Hello, everyone. It's 7 p.m. and we're starting in time. Through years, I learned so many things about broadcasting. And sorry, if you're here, most likely you know who I am. My name is Zufar Bikbov. I'm an artist with a medical background and these two professions. Now I'm more gravitating to art, and I was painting professionally for years, and I enjoy teaching. So I'm doing these webinars because everything what I learn, I think, needs to be shared with people, with public. So today we're going to paint a view, which is fantastic. And those who are my subscribers, they definitely received reference images, and maybe some of you already tried to paint it, to draw it, but there was some kind of homework which you needed to do. Again, if you're watching it just on YouTube, you're not my subscriber. I'll put a link downstairs under the video to subscribe, but otherwise links to these two videos for homework are already there. And of course, I'm doing it free because some people are just considering to be artists, do not want to invest money and time. It could be painful with the travels, but now, thank God, internet. And one of the something good about COVID, it really made us to think that learning online is possible. Not 100%, but the hybrid. I believe in hybrid. Before you come to workshop and you will be in that kind of stressful situation, and time runs very fast, you can review a lot of information before. And that's my goal, to create a body of classes which then will be a very good preparation for coming to take workshop with me or with any other instruction, at least those who are following school and principles which are close to Russian school of oil painting. And based on the same principles, it's Chinese and definitely all number of schools around Russia which were kind of those knowledge has been spread and been preserved through 20th century, when we're all turned crazy and learned a lot of kind of abstractions. We had pretty cool abstract artists in Russia, and avant-gardism was one of those directions which was Russian art of first half of the 20th century was well known for. But then during Soviet time, more of the propaganda, but in a realism, if you're not touching the social realism, where there's a lot of kind of like thoughts that it should be this way, it's hard to call it realism. It's like fantastics of the perfect happy life. But at the same time, there was a lot of lyrical paintings and people who learned painting landscapes, been doing it the same way as it was founded in the 19th century at the end by these big names as Levitan, Shishkin, and in portrait as a Repin, etc. There are many well-known artists whom you probably know, and one of those artists who've been on verge of realism and impressionism was Nicolas Feshin, or Fetchin as they pronounce it here, because it's a French transliteration. And I've just been lucky to be in New Mexico a month ago, a little more than a month ago, with Plein Air Painters of America. I'm a member of it, and I met with a group of other artists from Papa, and guest artist, granddaughter of Nicolas Feshin, and maybe one day we'll do some sort of like talk webinar about travels, because we haven't seen each other for quite a while, and it was a pretty long break, but I was really dreaming that I will do that. So I tuned up all new equipment I purchased, and I spent days and days in studio, and it looks like everything is in the system as I like it. And overall quality of video is also pretty decent, I should say. I'm pretty happy the way as it looks. Hopefully speed of internet also goes well, and I think for webinars, we're having pretty crispy image, hopefully. Since we're broadcasting in the evening, it's not gonna drop down a lot. I have my studio in Watertown, and of course, I have here storage. Every artist, plein air artist, needs storage for canvases, used one and new ones. Of course, painting spot for my studio part of painting process. And of course, my office is also outside around Connecticut, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island and Massachusetts, of course, are great places to paint in New England, and New York is right here as well. So I'm trying to cover a lot. What we are having today, tonight, I know you want to watch video. I will not try to sell you anything, even though as an artist I need some support, and all this what I have, what you see here was done through investments of some money which we're taking from sales of paintings, and I want to have, of course, income from teaching as well. So here during these webinars you can really see this style of teaching is helpful to you. You will see a pre-recorded video. I did that last night, and today morning I was finishing it. And it's about it's the 4 blocks of about 30 minutes each. So it will be running for 2 hours. That is why I'm rushing to start it sooner. Plus those 15 minutes of video which I recorded for you. You could watch it, prepare, so not to talk about that, about oil paints. Also, if you're watching it live, definitely participate in conversations, ask questions. If you watch it recorded later, at times I review questions through special app, but there are so many videos and I may not be able to keep up with all answers. So best you come here Thursday 7 p.m. as announced. If you're a subscriber, you know what the subject, you do some home preparation. If you want to paint during the webinar, and ask your questions. Also, if what we paint is great, let's say view as we paint today is I think it's fantastic. It's not too much leaves as a classic fall in New England, but it has very beautiful river and have very bright sun, and it's not contre-jour but like pretty strong side light, and it's accessible area. You can walk into that place. I mean, and we'll do workshop there live. So yes, so let's start soon. I'm sure you are ready, especially those who have their canvases ready. And then after like half an hour, I'll be able to stop. So you'll take some break, which is very necessary during painting process. And I will read your questions. Please, questions in comments or in live chat, okay? So let's start. Okay, here we go. We're starting now, and we're starting not on white canvas, which is toned already. So we're not trying to remove all white canvas. We'll be trying to remove yellow canvas where it's not appropriate, right? And place where it's not much appropriate is the sky area. Definitely this like almost rectangular or prism in between trees, and of course here we have a lot of warm colors. Here darker blues, and again warm colors, a lot of them, and I consider greens as warm colors as well. So again, since we're not working on white canvas, that's one thing, and second, because of water is something which will need multiple approaches to cover it. Blues and browns, they mix easily. So I will start with the water area, and it looks like I'm starting almost like with the darkest darks. Every painting goes a different way, and I'll be going and painting with my bristle brushes. So everything what I'm doing, you will see I don't have any small brushes because already all lines have been placed here. Underpainting for water will be all reddish and brownish because I cannot work with blues at the beginning, and even physically that reflection sits on top of the bottom. So we'll go by layers here definitely. So will I mix? I think burnt sienna will work pretty well here. And I could go with my medium, but right here even gel will be good. And I will create couple of variation of my brown. Don't worry, all that area under the thicker paint application will be brownish as well and reddish. So we're just giving some sort of a value for that area. At the same time, of course, we're kind of destroying our drawing. So what can we fight that? Maybe we can just under some places put more of a purple color, so where the ripples are happening. And so for us, that's the way we can preserve our colors. It seems to be very dark right now. Usually with this first layer, we go slightly warmer and darker, but not always. You know, each painting needs a different approach and sequence. Of course, first layer still stays first, but there is some flexibility. So if I say that I'm starting usually with the lights, that's usually on white canvas, and specifically this painting will make our work much easier if it's not white canvas. So here I think I can go thinner with my burnt umber. I mean with burnt sienna, and adding small amount of burnt umber as well. Again, I can get a value here based on my just a layer thickness. So going with a darker but transparent paint can work as with watercolors, just thinner paint application. And then later with the second layer, we're not going to do, we won't be able to do that. So you can see how not even distribution here. Right, and I don't think it's too much of a kind of reddish brown there. I will go with a burnt umber very thinly, and also adding plenty of medium to let it dry, help it dry faster. You see here, I just wish to show you I had a more expensive, kind of higher load, pigmental load oil pastel applied, and you see how much pigment started smearing. So that is why for this drawing transfer, cheaper oil pastels work better. All right, I don't want to go to many details. I just will redefine ripple area. I want to have them kind of like more as a not solid shape. Definitely it has texture, but more horizontal. You see here not only brown, not even like a yellow, but it also has some greens there, and greens is coming from yellow interacting with blues. So let's do it this way. Now that's carrot, it looks fine, and looks very warm on this video, more intense than I have on my canvas. So let me apply now this dark area. So right now this looks very dark because there is nothing dark around. For blues, I'll take a different brush. It doesn't matter what size, smaller. This is probably the smallest I have, but that's absolutely fine. When we're outside, we're not trying to be very accurate with shapes unless this is your competition piece. So when you're going to do study, more important you get their colors. All right. And here blue kind of disappears. I'm not going to make it brown. I'd rather turn it towards purple. And even though there is some grass here, it's not time to really care about those single straws. So right now you could notice that this brown looks lighter. It still looks reddish. There is nothing happened with its chromatic, the color qualities, but overall it's changed. So now you can really, if you want to correct that, you can see color quality better, and value-wise it looks lighter. Looks like here a very soft edge. Again, maybe not most important time, not very right time to do all edges. Let me work here. It's really looks very dark on our reference, but since it's a cast shadow on grass, and grass here is turned towards the sky in shadow, it will be kind of cooler green. And I will take, of course, not the cobalt green plain. I will use olive green to give it value, and then we'll cool it down using cobalts. And what to do with areas like this, that's actually pretty like mixed. It's really hard to say what color is that, because of there is some texture here. I would go with something like a purple, because some straws, and most of them actually when they're dry in shadow, on shadow side, they turn purple. I'm pretty much going with paints without any titanium white or any other pure opaque paints. I didn't even get to my cadmiums. So this will be our over time you create your own brush work design, and this is for me like Chinese letters, hieroglyphs. So you find your own way of placing them nicely and beautifully. Same thing with drawing as well. You could decide how to do this in your sketch when you work on paper, but quite often when you're outside you don't want to spend much time with paper. You can always work on it once you start working on a bigger piece. But I'm trying to kind of separate some areas in zones, kind of like even now still drawing with my brush and creating not solid, but at the same time in value close, but in color slightly different areas. And again, straws in between them, some grass, green grass have seen in between, and what you can do with a thin and light paint application, you kind of like create that maze. Also, we're watching bigger shapes, and what I'm going to do with this grass, let's say here we have green, and we have here again light straws. Green is strong pigment, and light straws are opaque colors. So both of them are pretty strong. Shall I go with green or gray? Since I have already toned canvas, I think I'll go with a light green, but I will not paint entire this area. Just will create some sort of design. And you can right now you see those reddish leaves stuck in between straws. We are not painting them, but kind of we can put some notes that we're going to do them soon. Not soon, but during this painting process. A little too dark. Of course, you can do that with burnt sienna as well. It's just quite reddish, almost orange. All right. So at times you need to stop and squint and see what's going on. And let's say with this left over, which we don't have much on our reference image, what you're gonna do, I still would go with maybe some complex green, which gray, which I create using cadmium orange and ultramarine blue, and I will cover it. Then if I want a lighter straws to be painted on top of it, this thin paint will settle pretty quickly. I'll be able to do so with the softer brushes. So it looks like we need to put there some blue, but it's not time yet. At the same time, you see there is some dry brush effects happened. This area is like solidly covered. And when you use kind of like a barely touching surface with a dry brush, what happens? You create nice texture, but it's really not helpful in painting process. This is like would be nice as a almost a graphical presentation. I talked about that many times. Just want to point again, don't get caught with this cool effect of dry brush in your underpainting. On upper layers, if you want to work as a Nikolai fashion, that's absolutely fine. But your first layer should be in values broken into relatively large or just large shapes. Am I working on texture? Yes, I think I'm talking and then my brain start thinking and wandering somewhere. So we have here a couple of lines of green, but overall that straw which grows on that little island is light enough. So here underpainting works pretty nicely as a base value and even color for those shapes. So before we evaluate, is everything great here or not, or need correction, I will have to move further. I'll grab my brush, which I started with, and I will work on that solid mass of woods in the distance. What colors will I use? Again, it's grayish, and there is obviously, you can see there's some yellow and greens. I'll go with a light purplish gray. And now, since it's a distant area, I may want to add small amounts of opaque paint as titanium white. It will make my purple, I think I still had some brown on my brush, and you should have fewer brushes. I'll take another one. And now mixing it together. On palette it doesn't look that dark, but here it looks, it is. And working with the two colors, not two colors, but two variation of my mix. Let's put it this way. It's nice if you have your sketch, because sketch will be not touched, but what we did on our canvas is disappearing because we're applying paint. So now this is almost like blends with these branches. And these branches, I think closer, we have more of a red in them. So very tiny amount of with alizarin will help me. And if needed, I still will add small amount of titanium white. It's not going to slow down painting much because I'm still using pretty good amount of my gel, gel kit gel, which is supposed to speed up drying time. Also, you know, it's almost like a cloud. So but you need to find, it's rougher than a cloud, so you can find a specific direction, and some brush strokes will be wider with a thicker paint application, and still since this is not our sky behind yet, so you need to think that this dry fetch and style paint application is not much appropriate to consider as a final look. But we can encourage ourselves, put some notes like mentally that this is happening, interesting. If I was painting with a just dry brush, like graphical works, that could be different. Painting, but it's some skill which you may possibly be able to use in the future. Again, you see, I put so many brush strokes because I overall like all this game. So now we kind of separated the area where the sky is supposed to be from everything else. And sky, I cannot say that it's very light here. Photograph quite often, camera catch that blue and makes it deeper. So I will intentionally paint, while I paint from my reference, will make it lighter. And not only adding their white, but adding white with some maybe small amount of orange and small amount of yellows to make it vibrating blue. We'll get there soon. And so now this grass and slope here is the next area which I'm going to cover. I'm not really paying much attention to tree stems. They're very thin in this case, and they don't think they deserve any specific attention right now. Even though when it's slightly bigger, you start thinking, oh, well, maybe I should do something like this right now. And that will not be a mistake. Either way, it possesses some convenience, some nice features, and some, or becomes a obstacle, slight obstacle. So there is no perfect way of working on it. It's possible to make things very bad on every aspect. But talking about these two options, again, you can paint them now, you can paint them later. They are thin, they are linear, can be applied later, especially we don't really worry about them during our first layer. We can easily remove it, scrape it off. So, you know, this area has its color. And if you look at our reference image, there is some pink color and orange color here. And even though it's not bordering with any blues, to understand exactly how cool or how warm I need to take them, I think application of color and sky to the sky, and value-wise, it will get slightly, I think it will be pretty much the same. It looks on photograph darker, but I promise to take it lighter. So it'll be pretty close to what we have right now. So for sky, I will take a separate brush, and it doesn't have to be big. It could be, I mean, small. It could be as big as this one. And also, I'm looking at my palette. Is it time to clean it? Maybe. Why not? So I'll use a scraper, and it depends what kind of scraper you have and what kind of glass. So this glass is pretty fragile. I'm using not real glass because of video recording. I don't want any glare. So definitely here, sky will be that area where we want white, because of it's not even close color-wise to what we need there. And so hence I'll need more opaque paint, and we'll start covering it. Yeah, I think if I look at the reference, I think that's pretty nice and close. Again, if you new separate brush is a must, and maybe you'll need to change even twice, because once you start touching those browns, it gets between the hair of the brush, and then it's easy, very easy to lose freshness and crispness of blue paint. Shall I work a lot in between? I think I could wait until, unless I want to, I have pretty big windows there. So I'll touch it somewhere, but that will be not the final work through that lace of branches. I told you that I'm going to use some small amount of cadmium even orange, and I'm going with a clean one. I'm not really much mixing it, so I'm kind of going with the white and cadmium orange and small amount of cadmium lemon, which is intense, tiny. Of course you can use palette knife and get it just like a little bit of the paint and mix it. Even I think this value wise is dark enough. So we have here some clouds, and usually closer to the bottom the sky turns warmer, more purplish and lighter, and then gets again purple and darker when it's very close to horizon because of the dust which we have in the air. So I'm pretty happy with the color presentation, and we got coolness in our painting. I do not consider that area because that's too intense at this moment, and I can see it now once more and more of a canvas surface get covered with paint, getting values down. And also between trees, quite often we like going with ultramarine blue mixes because it's closer to purples. Okay, looks like I'm making this brush not as clean as it used to be, but that's fine. I think if I need to go here over the sky again, I'll be going during my second layer with a softer brush and I'll get it clean. So with the first layer with a thicker hair in my brush, I'm creating that texture of branches in its depth. You probably can see that purple right in between branches. So and sometimes it just goes almost like you could see it blue enough, and I think maybe some of them. So you try to recreate that effect once you see it, and if you don't see it while you're standing there, try to squint. You may start seeing that. And we're using often peripheral vision, because what draws all attention here, I think all this area kind of closer to the center and reflection in the water. So kind of like all this area. So now if I squint and I look at my reference and I look at my painting and then back to reference and back to my painting, I see that overall grass looks shining, and I like shape of it, even though we don't care much. I like this foreground actually. It's the same way, it looks pretty abstract as on reference. Background maybe a little too warm, a little bit too much of a red, and here too much of a red. It could be bleached and kind of discolored. That's easy. I think all that area looks good as well. Sky, I was willing to make it lighter, and all this bare trees area is fine. There is some mass like in this area, which I did not do yet, but I will apply. So I see mainly problem here. This is turned to supposed to be turned more towards brownish and greenish, and this area seems to be a little too dark. So I'm not a big fan of scraping, but sometimes even like finger painting can be helpful, because when you expose too much texture, it's, I think, too early. I'm kind of painting just the bottom of the river here, and I want to get a right value for it. When I looked at the screen, what you see, I think you see darker, more contrast bottom. That's the thing as the cameras do. In my original, in my painting, which I have here, it doesn't seem to be that dark. But I'll try to create image which is makes you see exactly what I want to show in the painting process. So again, the bottom of the river, it's a multi-level, multi kind of a layer approach. It's not just 2 layers, probably like 4 layers. I'm going to work on it and still have to apply my paint thinly. So let me get more of a greenish, and let's take some cadmium orange and put some this green. And let's see how good in value is that. That's actually getting better. And then in addition to that, something like yellow, ochre, or sienna can make some improvement. I'm going again with something like which is more opaque, but my paint application is quite delicate and thin. If you want to, right from here, from now, start working with, again, softer synthetics, that's going to be absolutely fine. So that's better. That's definitely better. Still working with a good amount of medium. And now this dark area doesn't look that crazily dark. Some shallow sides, even though it's fall and there is not much green on the bottom, but there is still some remnants in the soil. Must be like that. I want this whole area to get dry enough, so before I start painting any reflections on it. It's nice if you know and feel how to work with a smaller number of brush strokes. So practicing this skill is never a bad idea. I was also trying to make this area a little bit shorter. It still looks pretty long, and what I got there is think at this point we need to do some break and to let our eyes rest and our painting to also to rest. Okay, looks like first part is over, and I think taking break is essential when you paint. I think I mentioned that quite often, and that really helps not only physically get rested and refreshed. Also, it's important that you kind of start seeing your painting after a break much better. So put aside your painting. Of course, you can just listen to me. I was looking at the at any messages, and I don't see any questions. Of course, most of people are nice and just saying hello. And one of the last people who are said hello is Liz Cole and her husband Yair. They're both my students, and also a friend of mine, Vlad Duchev, who was a great assistant to me in my teaching process. And he's teaching on his own online, and I think he's teaching live, judging shows. And I'm so glad to see his career as an artist growing and up very well. So congratulations. I can tell you that there is a little small probably impact of mine as well in your career because of your mind, your talent all together came, and what you've been lacking was time, and now you have time. So no answering questions. Let me talk more about teaching. So this is a webinar, and I'm going and doing it freely. I speak, and maybe it's not super organized. It's just the painting process, which I'm approaching quite often, like first time. It puts me into challenges, and I'm trying to explain what challenges do I have. When I do recording of class videos, those videos are like more organized. There is more clear talk. Could be supplemental materials. So, and this is what you pay money for. And but I think it works well together. If you watch webinar and then this video, not video, this image and this motif will turn into the full four-step approach of painting. I will not be able this season to do recording in plein air, but we can do in studio. And since, as you see, this is my unique kind of design of screen with I think the all three parts are very important. The only disadvantage is it's a vertical format. But I think since you're studying, we're not working on a masterpiece. You'll be creating masterpiece from your own ideas. Here we're learning a lot of things. Then the ocean scenes, everything can be done in this format. And format of canvases here is 4x3 vertical. So this way our canvases 8x6, 12x9 as we've been working today, and also during like a full painting process when we go through sketch and then painting what like mimicking, or in the coming season also painting and plein air part, and that will be on 12x9 quickly with a much more bold brush strokes and less detailization, because today what you see is something covering a little bit more. I will try to accomplish those study things within like an hour and a half, and today we have about 2 hours of work, and I think I'm following some details which I should drop during the class. I really want you to get prepared and not to stress a lot when you go outside. And then you're coming back and rethink your composition. Of course, don't forget to take your reference images, and I'll be talking about that as well. So why not? Because that could be, if you took them right way and using it right way, that could be also stimulus, incentive for you to paint those days when it's raining, when it's snowing, when it's cold, or maybe some of those places where you could stop by, take a picture, but you'd never be able to put your easel and your all painting gear. Then, of course, you will paint a studio, and then you can come back and revisit that place, maybe next season, maybe a couple of days after. So I want you to go outside and learn from the real source of information, plein air view. And then your paintings will be not photorealistic, not naturalistic, but will be a real painterly accurate and will be inviting. Plus, it will have your own personalities. So to get personality, you need to experiment, but you need to have a starting point and confidence. That's what I'm going to give you through skills, knowledge, and one of the views, which is universal, and it's coming from Russian School of Art and Painting. So we'll have a second part of the video as a continuation, which is great. I hope you enjoy quality of the video. Looks like internet is working well, and I've been also monitoring imaging, and video is going mainly at 720, and that's very decent. And I think later it will convert to a sharper images after YouTube will process it. Also, at the same time, I do recording of this session, so I can put it on other platforms where people can get it through subscriptions. And again, for all of you, I encourage to be a subscriber of the channel, get reminders, and of course get emails from me through a subscription to webinars on Instagram, through Instagram, or through a website rosera.com. We'll talk more. I was already thinking what we're going to do next week, and I'm very serious about that. This fall was beautiful. I took a lot of reference images and thoughts that I will be able to do webinars. So are you ready? So let's do video number, like part number 2. So after this break, I look at my painting and my analysis comes, and I see new horizons which I need to start working on. So it kind of opens up my mind. Pretty much everything which I said at the end of the previous block, so too much red in this area, but value-wise, sky is good. So let's go from top to the bottom, even though most attractive and most challenging part is, of course, the river. Its bed and its also reflections, which we didn't paint yet. And there is also some ripples on surface. So skies are good. I'm not touching it at this moment. In the beginning, it really gives me a blue, nice color to compare with. Value of that block looks pretty good. Maybe it's not just well defined, but the shape of it is good enough and value is good. And I should say, after we finish first layer, we are coming to correction of some lines if they need to be highlighted or disappeared. And so that's what I'm trying to analyze. If we're done with kind of like a first layer, so I'm correcting lines and still analyzing values if I need to do that first. So shape of these trees, especially like in blurry image, they look pretty nice. So that's the original. It's too much. It's better, even better, yeah, the best. So we're still moving to these, I mean, kind of the way as it looks here on our reference image. So this is too much red, but closer to the water. There is a red, that's probably mainly leaves of these oak or elm trees. And so there we have less, there's some rocks and soil, whatever is there, it's too much red here. Same thing with the stem of the trees and bark of it. Okay. This area looks good, maybe cooler green. We'll apply it, and that's absolutely normal for transformation. Shape-wise, it looks like a big, maybe a rock at this time, but the green color and softer edges will make it look better. I think shadow here is too deep, It's a dark green. It looks almost black on screen, as I see. And this area, I would not really even touch it, because of if I do these straws now, I may kind of pull too much attention from the water area. And you can do this area whatever the whole design will be asking you. It's too flexible, so let's keep it as it's now. It's not distracting. It's sitting in values and colors pretty accurate. So what will I do now? I still will work on this riverbed, and before I apply reflections. I still feel that this area needs to be smoother and some areas lighter. Let's see what's really happening here. There are some few leaves which got stuck, and looks like some straws. If you want to see the original photograph, it's like that. And it looks like it's a sand and like top of this little ridge under the water. It shows up. But what I really like and I want to show is these blues, which are much deeper than the sky. It's a reflection of it, which turns purple and brown, and how to paint it without losing color and not to make it too bright or too intense. So that's, for me, it's one of the top tasks I want to accomplish. Now I'm working with the softer brushes, and I will be working with a size 4 flat. Filbert will be fine as well. And so let's work on a water area. So now we can go with more opaque paints if we feel that we need it. And let's have some Galkit gel squeezed. And again, this paint, which is raw sienna, looks on screen so orangey, which is not. But it's strong pigment. It's an opaque pigment. So I'm still not ready to go with a thick paint application. So you see all colors I'm mixing here, some variety. And you need to find your way of applying paint. Make sure you're not rubbing too much against the surface, not even because you can destroy the paint surface, but also because of this way you can go, if you rub too much, go too thin. And we don't really want our main layer to be too thin. So it's maybe too intense. And this area, sand here is very flat. I really like shape of it. So drawing wise, I don't see any challenging areas where I need to correct, which I would standardly do. So I see everything seems to be pretty accurate shape-wise, so I'm skipping that stage. So send your questions, and if you're watching it live, if you're watching it recorded already, you still can ask questions in comments area. I just do not know when I'll have a chance to read and answer them. I cannot promise to do that in timely manner, but if you came to the live streaming, definitely we'll make another break and I'll answer your questions. So that looks nice and looks like paint's some kind of settled, and now this, what I like here. I'm still not going with the light crazy things. This is still the bottom of the river. So now I'll try to go in values, like in this soft area, will make it lighter as I see it. I'm not going to hit that area where I have a lot of blues. I think these browns are still stay wet enough. And if I clean my brush well enough, I can go here and work slightly more on top without damaging. Again, if you need to go on top, not only softer brush, but also direction of the brush, not going perpendicular, but rather laying it almost parallel to the surface. If you have paint, of course, on the side of your brush, then it will help you to drag it without damaging. I could stay more focused when I do not talk, just paint without talking, but at the same time, there are so many critical points I need to explain. So we're trying to do our best. And I don't need to apply now too much of medium, only if I feel that it's too thick. So no dark shadows in the distance. I don't see them on reference either, except of that one which is here. I'm not gonna work, I'm not gonna do it. And even with blue, now I start working on richer and more diverse colors. So I'm adding not only ultramarine blue mixes, but also manganese or cerulean blue imitation in my case. All right, so it looks crazily intense blue there. Again, in my original here, it's not that bad. I'll try to adjust in video that blue color presentation. So now I start feeling that I'm getting ready kind of to move maybe right now and work on this reflection area. During my plein air session, I wouldn't really pay much attention, but here, changing shape like to this, kind of removing this blue part, getting closer with a shallow part with the sand closer, and then refining. I think it feels important. Also, there is definitely a softer edge, seems to be here, because overall distance kind of, and it's getting peripheral, and distance from the edge of this kind of cliff the edge of the shadow to the bottom of the river is longer. So it should be soft edge, and requires, looks like, a small amount of purple here. All right. So while I'm working with these blues and purple and indefinite colors, maybe I can do a little softening of the edge here, adding shadow side. Despite photograph contrast, I still want this to be slightly lighter. All right. I think I'm pretty satisfied with all this corner now. With the blue, it seems to be so crazily blue for me. Just again, it's not natural light. I'm doing recording in studio, but this blue, especially here, need to be muted and made lighter. So let's find a right color, and most importantly, value as well. If you see there's some blue, you don't mean that you need the whole taken with a flat brush strokes to eliminate that blue totally. You can leave part of it. Just for me, what I see on screen seems to be less natural, but what I see on my canvas looks pretty close, at least to what I see on reference image. All right. I think I'm close now to start doing those reflections. You know, there are some openings, okay, on this reflection, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes to those ripples and many kind of waves going across. It's not that easy. I should say that I need to treat them as just simple shapes without going with that. Some areas which are darker in blue, somewhere less of a blue. But it's important to know that this area will be lighter in value if there is any reflection. I don't see much reflection. I think it's because of the water is not still, but here I have some spots which are almost still water. So I'm not getting any of these windows openings close. So let's go like this. And I will try to build them as some sort of almost rectangles. And it's down, it's not getting just a darker blue, it's getting a less blue because of the angle, because of the optics. this looks good. And also ripples go like this direction as their main body, but they go with up like perpendicular to direction of it, and of course in this projection they kind of like go crisscross like this. So direction of the whole ripple body, and then ripples themselves as small waves go across it. So of course some would do that like this, but just try it first. If it works, it's good. But it may not. There is a chance that it's not going to work. I'm not going with thin paint. I'm not going with a thick paint. It's just a very cautious approach. All right, this worked well. I think this edge will correspond to this tree. And now we'll create like more with lines. This segment. Looks like there's a cloud here, and cloud should not be just whiter. It should have some different color. It's going to be warmer and lighter, so some orange or yellow ochre should be there. So this looks slightly better. This takes time, but I think it's most exciting part I'm learning during this session. Of course, I can take smaller brush. Training how to do it at home can really help me then outside to approach it fearlessly. Even trying too much copying it, I just need to create a feeling of this effect. And now it turns that some areas look purple. Maybe that's actually tops of the trees. Can reflect, giving that feeling. And in value, it's darker, of course, than the cloud itself. And also, it goes see still some, like in this area, it's not just dark, but it has some green in the color. And something like olive green will be a good addition to that brown. Maybe a little more intense. And also, you see there's like evergreen or something green is growing there, so adding to darker spots some green tinge. Of course, it's still not time for doing any stems reflection in water. It's coming. It will come on its own time. Some cadmium green, actually cobalt green. So it's not as, again, intense as Viridian. If you go with Viridian, to be more using smaller amount of paint, definitely. And this area, it has some green because of the green is on the bank, but again, it's lighter, smoother. And so let's mix something like this. Again, not using much of medium, only when I feel that my paint is too thick and looks like my brush gets stuck. But otherwise, go with a relatively thick paint, but also consider that there is no much more paint will be applied later on top of it. Still lighter, but not with a pure white, lighter and adding some color in it. So now it looks closer to what I see in my reference. So blue and yellow, somewhere a little bit of greenish parts. Looks muddy, but it's in right place, and that muddy brings life into the view. If you need really green, of course you add to your any green cadmium lemon, and that becomes electric. I'm not encouraging you to use a lot of it, but sometimes you need to put here and there some highlights softly, but just to add color. When it's too bright, of course you can make it less intense. Okay. When you apply your paint on top of wet paint layer on palette, your pile looks bright, you add it there, it's not anymore that bright, and you add more and more and more, adding more and more mud. But with experience you will know exactly, maybe right from the beginning you need to put more of it, and you're afraid when you don't have much experience or I'm not even saying experience as an artist, sometimes experience of painting seen like this. Like for me, I don't paint this often, specific, but definitely after doing this webinar, I'll be more comfortable coming there, and I can teach a workshop. And I definitely, since I discovered this place, I definitely will go and paint this in different seasons to those who are ready, who wants to go. So grays and muddy colors come in different flavors as well, and different combinations. But you know, some grays look great next to, let's say, blues or next to browns. Because of these grays could be reddish, could be greenish, could be bluish, could be many different types. All right, it's time to make a little break, maybe like for 1 minute, and I'll answer your other block of questions. So second part is over, and I finally got a couple of questions which I would like to answer in more detailed manner, because of that's exactly about the painting. One of them is from Fidget Girls. Looks like a few of them are here watching this webinar. Anyway, she's asking, or they are asking, at what point you start using thick appliances, I guess, applying paint in like in thicker level. So I do not do classic alla prima when you start on white canvas and start applying paints thick right from beginning. To do so, I need to know, not even know, but have such a good sensitivity right on palette. I would mix right values. So I'm approaching with first going thin with values distribution, and the colors could be off, and then once I'm done with all the layers, I start applying thicker. It's not that straight forward, so there is no point, but usually some paintings I start with the lighter colors first with the background, then I go to the darker areas, and then when I work on darker areas and the whole canvas is covered, I mean there is no white canvas left, I feel like my darker parts get more color because evaluation or value accuracy is getting better. And then I go to lighter areas and then apply over previous thin layer where the light parts were thicker paint application. It's not that simple, painting trees, painting water reflection. It requires several layers, and it's not just every layer, next layer is thicker and thicker and thicker. But I could say that towards the end of the painting, there is a less chance of applying thinner layer. And right in the beginning, it's usually everything is thin. There is also a question about why I'm doing so many brush strokes, and I think what's annoying even for me watching it, that I'm kind of like shaking my brush, but that's generally to figure out where I'm going to put my brush stroke. I think it's kind of like trying to aim a spot where I want to put my brush stroke. When I paint, I don't see that shaking, and hopefully you're able to see where I really touch the canvas and where I'm just kind of finding a direction for my brush stroke, because that's movement is sort of yes, finding right strength, application, distance, and pressure when I need to put brush strokes. Of course, there are many more movements are happening over the canvas than on the surface of canvas. Also, this is my pretty much first approach of painting this, And when we have a kind of a class, like paid class, I'm coming more prepared. So I already can go with the wider, bigger brushstrokes because I keep in mind sequence and I remember what didn't work first time, what worked. That is why I like approaching several times, painting the same view. And I think it's also beneficial for you because I still feel that I learned a lot. And my students definitely are here to learn from me a lot, and they have a lot to learn. So my style of learning is through repetition, and I don't mind to paint the same view over and over because of then later in the future I'll be able to work just pure alla prima white canvas, limited time. I know right on palette that my sky should be of this value right on white canvas. It may look awfully dark, my first brush strokes, but they still right, and the sky will be glowing at the sunset, etc. Yes, I have another question. I just struggling with how to paint a similar stream today, so it is so helpful. I'll revisit my paintings with this info. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. You're very welcome, and you may find that my approach works just in part for you because you're using whatever different tools you're using, maybe smooth, super smooth canvas. I'm not saying that you need to go and build your career on what you learn from me, but definitely it can give you a very good starting point. And if you follow my techniques, you'll be able to paint decently. So let's proceed to video 3, and we still have like almost an hour going. So let's talk in between. But I'm glad you had some break, 5 or whatever minutes, and let's keep moving. Our little break has passed, and I'm switching to a smaller brush, number 2, synthetic, soft one, and my next approach will be to work on that background area. Even though I have full big temptation to lighten up this area, and this again looks too bright on your screens, maybe I'll fix it first. And also after a little break, it's easier for me to see how colors, I mean not colors, mainly shapes could be combined to make it more solid. So I'm trying to cover all those excess of blue, leaving it just somewhere as little, something which just reminds there was some more active blue in that area. And also trying to represent some ripple. And I think in value still looks pretty darn dark and intense. So let me add more of orange. If I want to go with grays, ultramarine blue and cadmium orange will do a very good job. So now I'm kind of working with a negative space with the brush strokes, creating that, leaving just that blue somewhere in between brush strokes, making those shapes more exciting, delicious, as they say. So remember that reflections are vertical, even though they are broken by waves and ripples. They're still predominantly reflections are vertical. Trees, edge of woods, again because of trees. So on top of this area I will apply those dark ripples, and they're not going to be just one color. When I did my DVD, there was a little rush, and we made it a little too way too kind of like same color. Definitely it need to be more color variety, adding there some olive green and cooler green and blue and purples. I'll try to show it to you in this example. Right, this looks slightly better. Okay, I think the whole area of this tiny waves over shallow, over rocks. I think I will make, it feels that should be lighter. I think I can always make this area lighter if I feel that I need after I do those, that kind of like path of ripples. So I need to find the right value for it before I do. In this case, I think I need to go with those dark parts, and they're not going to be blue, even though they look blue. It's more of a blue around them. For me, I think it's the more of a green there. And let's add some yellow ochre to make this green. And then adding blue will get enough of a blue over there. And maybe just in darks I'll have more of a blue. So now let's overall outline. Okay, that's our darker part. And let's have it like this. Well, I'm working now on, looks like on some detail part, but I think that's one of the most exciting and attractive part of the painting. And I'm not going to create the whole texture of it. What I will do, I just will outline it with a cleaner blue. Okay, like from here. And then from there. Somewhere even with the purple. I think it works, and the way as it's coming out, things seems to me quite decent. Of course, I can go later with a smaller size brush and create more of effects. Like we'll go with a brush like this, and then it's most important not just to go with white. You want to do something lighter and it looks warmer or cooler, go with extra paint, different paint addition. Okay, let's say if you have here something looks for you like that, do it with additional color variant, not just white. White change color, it makes it cooler, but overall just it's like drains life out of paint quite often. Maybe only like yellows getting better, and some stronger pigments like ultramarine blue. When you add white, they reveal their beauty, but many other paints are just losing its juice. Okay, so it's important not to forget you can do it later, but maybe now it's better time to here where the ground or bottom of the tree come, there is some darker spot. Of course, it's too dark. Just shows you where the edge of the water. Okay, and of course that blue in the distance is not that intense. Kind of grayish, metallic kind of blue. All right, now let's work with the number 2 on those areas. I'll start with some areas which are darker, and then which are in those spots will be with a thinner paint application. And you remember I moved the spruce tree to the left, to the right from the left. Don't make it too dark, make it even lighter than we see on your reference image, and a little bit cooler in color. And there are some of its branches can be seen through. Maybe there is another spruce tree here. And it's all design kind of thing, how you will paint it. We didn't forget about one which is hiding here behind tree trunks, and there are some reddish branches and maybe even leaves in front of it, making it look vibrating. So I have temptation to go thin. At the same time, I know that I need to load. It's good time to paint with full strength of paint. And the way how I apply it is just all total way of design, which comes up to you with practice. You cannot really, you can start mimicking it, that's fine, but full freedom of painting it this way comes after you did many tree paintings. And almost abstract, this is like almost painting with pattern. Times goes quick, I know, and let me try to speed up slightly. So cooler and warmer when we do especially evergreen trees. And find right, and here something, let's make it slightly lighter. So once we threw enough of those pattern-based darker spots, we can then go with a major, larger shape mixes of paint. And don't afraid to mix good amounts of paint. Again, it looks on screen way too blue, even though for me on canvas it doesn't look that blue. Glad reds do not look that bright. So softer edges for these masses of branches. You see, I'm working with a pink based on red and pink based on orange, and together they give much more lively color combination than if I was using them just like one color. Of course I can come back and add that, but two color mixes is not such a big difficult task. I think you can handle it. So I'll learn painting it this way. Of course here's kind of a greenish gray, I should say. If you think that, let's say, this is way too dark, you can make it lighter, plus make edges softer. So value of that thing will diminish, at least perception of it. So we'll look like there is no much of a dark value there. If you've got too much blue in front and it's not, you can always add red or orange on top of that blue, and it will turn to purple, which looks okay in close proximity to us. But blues may look odd. Okay, it's a kind of a pattern again. All right, but you know, with these darker spots and sharper edges, definitely have a feeling of the very strong light lit areas. So what we're going to mix here, of course we have this part, but I need to add here some greenish, as I mentioned, and there it's more of a purple again, so based on blue. And of course some of my underpainting will be still showing up through, and some areas still have those nice orange leaves. So definitely red and blue requires some extra orange or some another green, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry getting tired too, but sometimes even yellow color adding over purple and blue can create that feeling of a green. You see that? So just added mainly cadmium, lemon, and it worked. Of course I'm not doing those leaves right now unless it's very soft shape, and quite often to make color look clean you need to mix it separately, not just adding orange to that mix. And then like you can go like this, or if it's not enough intense, you go like this. It's easier than to dull it. Still not a lot of paint. There is another way of paint application, and you can do that, but it could be unpredictable like rolling your paint, your brush, and you create some, I cannot even say, it's not rectangular shapes, but some texture. Then you connect some of them. I think now it's too much orange and then too little of a blue in between. Definitely we'll need to go over that area, but sorry. But right now I want to work on this dead grass area. Let's make this reddish brown more exciting. I need to be absolutely sure that the value of color I'm painting is right, because getting value down will be difficult once you apply too much of a paint. Getting it up is slightly easier, but still don't want to do 2 shots to fix it. If you see something which looks for you white, like edge, you still don't go with white, okay? You go with some white with added, definitely some cadmium lemon, whatever you see there. You definitely will see there's some extra color, like pink or yellowish, or maybe some cooler colors like greens and blues. I think cadmium lemon worked perfectly well, plus we have already areas there which have orange, so we got additional, not complementary, but additional color, and that's working pretty nice. And also this stem of trees. So now I think I'll go with pink because I don't have much of pink. I think this area looks pinkish to me. This one too. So I'm not dragging my paint for a long distance. So let me stop video at this point because we still have about maybe like 45 more minutes of this video. And I see people, some people need to go to work tomorrow early, and some people need to, I mean, it's just too much time sitting in YouTube. And of course, some people are just tired after work and they want to go to bed. So the whole video is about 2 hours, maybe even a little more. And as a friend of mine, Vlad, who again was assisting me a lot, and he's a very good artist as well, an instructor, he told me, so he gave me feedback that smaller pieces of video need to be presented if you want to see people watching it and asking questions. It's tiring. At the same time, within a week, we can always catch up. So if it's not difficult, can you write down in the comments area? So 2.25 hours of video, how would you like to watch it? In 2 pieces, in 3 pieces? And do you want to have the whole video to be done within a week, or you want to stretch it within a few weeks? I prefer, and based on my schedule and time availability and references, I can try very hard to create 2.5 hours of video recording a week for YouTube, so you could learn. And then if you watch it within a week, then after that it will be probably moved somewhere, and on YouTube you will have only kind of cut shorter version. So that's for for your loyalty, for watching what I'm doing. That's sort of, for me, my thank you. If you would like to thank me for what I'm doing, as like this webinar is open to people, to your friends, to you, and free, there is in description a link to tip jar, and that's a special kind of website, and you can say me thank you like in financial way, whatever it will be. Any tip is appreciated. I would like to answer one of last questions and watch what people wrote here. So last question was, Zufar, can you talk about the camera distortion when working with photo references? I see you adjusted for that in your painting. My reference doesn't show much of the distortion. I like using first like ×2 zooming in my iPhone, and smartphones are known to give a lot of distortion. So of course not wide view like 0.5, just ×2 would be perfect. If I cannot step back that far, definitely you will see some distortion, which iPhone at least handles pretty well. But sketching on site could be a solution. And then also you can sketch from your reference and redefine measures and like foreground, and maybe you can crop it so the most distorted areas around could be cropped. And as people say, right here I would watch it 1 hour increments, thanks. So if I could and the whole video at once, please. Seeing the process end to end is helpful. Ability to go back and see the progression on my own scrubbing. So there are different opinions. If more of you will write, I will know what to do as a mainstream. At the same time, it's possible, let's say Tuesday I can publish a part of it, maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and then on Thursday we're continuing that. Whoever wants to watch it at once, they can Thursday start not at 7 o'clock but start at 6, and then we run and finish by 8:30. So and this way we can work together, and you will be not exhausted, and people who have different styles of approach will be covered one way or another. So I think that will be a nice compromise. I will stay in touch with all of you through emails, so make sure you subscribe. Most of you have subscribed. That is why you came here in time. And I will post you, probably I'll offer you this painting finished as an image, as a possible purchase. Holiday season is coming, and you may want to get a nice 12:9 painting, framed or not framed. It's up to you. I'll give you several options. And also, I want to teach in Cambridge system, as in England, 2 students per 1 instructor per 1 teacher, professor. So I have 2 sides, right and left. I have 2 hands, 2 eyes. So there's a big difference when you work with 2 people or 3 people and with 10 people. Workshops, even though they're, I would say, I cannot say they're not expensive, but they're in most cases are affordable, and prices go somewhere between $150 to $200. I want to offer for higher price tag, but more intensive learning of brush work. So I can see every brush stroke you place, and then I hold your hand and we work through your painting. If you need, and I'll show you how much paint I need right on your painting, and you can put your nose into my painting and see how I do that. So that would be 6 hours painting days with 2 students. If you have any friend who is interested in learning this way, soon I'll publish image and what we want to paint, and then and it could be flexible days wise. So it could be like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So probably not Thursday, because Thursday we have webinars. And then you choose the date. You bring your friend, and we paint together in my studio. You'll have your easel, I'll have my easel, three of us. You'll be sitting in a comfortable chair, armchair like this. It's very soft, comfy. And if you have arthritis, if you cannot stand for a long time, you're covered. I was thinking through that. I have a medical background. I understand suffering which are coming with age, and I'm also getting older, so eyes and hands and legs, hips, knees, everything can remind us that we have some limitations. I'll make you to be comfortable and learning actively through this whole day, 6 hours. You will not feel tired, and you will learn a lot. In addition to that, you'll have a video recording of the session, so you can review that over and over. Plus, you'll be able to acquire the painting which will be painted by me. Each of you will be able to get one. I'll explain how. And then, definitely, let's say the scene like this, you'll master it much better. Even if you go to 5 days workshop, I will not be able to deliver that amount that I can deliver to you in 1 day workshop when I have just 2 students. Okay, that's very exciting and new, and that will be probably the main way of teaching, often live lessons. Everything else will go online, and of course, I would like still show to the group how I paint, and I will do demos for affordable price in our conference room. You can paint, you can just watch, put notes, stand close, do whatever you want, and I'll be reserving for a fixed day conference room, and it can fit more than 12 people at once. I think up to 24, but up to 12. I would try to keep that number limited. Also, talking about this special VIP class, which is just for 2 people, big thing, you will have all supplies that I use. Same paints, same brushes, same canvas, and then will be the only thing you will need to follow and also acquire as much as possible. So you will have total immersion to the way as I paint, and I will not need to spread my attention widely as we do in 10-12 people workshop. I'm sorry for this pitch, but you know, this is for me now not the medical field or nursing field, is any other work in the hospital. For me will be the way to stay afloat. And I want my paintings to be less commercial. I want to focus on teaching, and then when I paint whatever comes to my like inspiration and will catch my eye. Travel special seasons, let's say winters and fall, and of course summer and spring as well, all 4 seasons. So from my side, it's more consistency, and I think everything what I'm talking about here can be implemented within a couple of weeks, so stay tuned. And starting next week, we will start to adjust and do 1 hour videos for video for someone who wants to watch things in advance. And second part will be published and done as a live stream on Thursday. And then those who want to do it at once can start earlier and still get ready with your questions. It's long ending. I was really wishing to finish by 9 o'clock. And from that point where we stopped today, you'll be able to watch a video further. I'll publish it over weekend. So it's great. We had very good attendance, and to keep people for 2 hours, like 75-80% of people who came to this webinar, it's quite an achievement. So you're very loyal, you're very you trust, and I really appreciate and I treasure your attention and your will to see more beauty around, being able to express it in your life, to create wonderful artworks which you can keep, you can share, and definitely you will be able to create paintings which will far survive longer than human life suggests in years. Okay, so see you next time. Stay tuned. Look for my emails. I will send you links to continuation of today's session. It sounds like a good idea. Thank you for sharing your approach and techniques. A video just on materials, brush types, brushwork would be great, as the video has its own. Something can be done, maybe not in format of YouTube, but it can be done definitely in one or another form of teaching. And you're very, very welcome. I hope stream was without any interruptions. You'll be able to hear me very well. And videos, as I will post them, will be even in sharper in qualities. Thank you. See you next time.